A Field Guide to Partnership That Doesn't Cost You Yourself. Part 1. What I Left Out, a postscript to one series and an opening to another. When I completed my series on calling in a divine counterpart earlier this year, I thought I had written everything I knew about love. I had not. That series was a field guide to the interior, to the inner preparation required before love can be recognized, received, and sustained. I wrote about safety as a somatic experience, about ease as capacity rather than fantasy, about availability as a state of being rather than a reaction to attraction. I still believe all of it. But there's a dimension I did not fully account for, perhaps because I was living inside it and couldn't yet see its shape. Coherence is not a solo achievement. It requires two people, and specifically two people who are both willing to let the other remain whole. What I left out. In part 5 of that series, I wrote that in coherent partnership, nothing essential is added and nothing fundamental is taken away. I believed it when I wrote it. What I didn't write, what I perhaps couldn't write yet, was that I was in the middle of discovering what happens when that principle is violated. I was in a relationship where the container held, where the warmth was real, where the care was genuine. And still, something was being asked of me that I could not give. A slow erosion of my existing world. Not a dramatic gesture, but in the way a current works. Persistent, incremental, carrying you somewhere you didn't agree to go. My closest companions, a business partner who has become family, a best friend who has known me across lifetimes, were not welcomed. Not forbidden exactly, but not welcomed. And the cumulative weight of that became the clearest signal my body has ever delivered. This is not coherence. This is subtraction. I set a boundary. I held it. It cost me everything warm and good in that container. And I am still standing. What I left out of the first series is this. You can do all the inner work, the somatic attunement, the nervous system regulation, the grief, the clearing, and still encounter a union that requires you to become smaller. This is not a failure of your preparation. It is information, the clearest kind. When the mirror actually fits. Here is what I did not anticipate. That when a more coherent match arrived, I would recognize it not through dramatic contrast, but through a quiet accumulation of rightness. The metaphors I had spent months writing about kept landing in reality, as if the universe were annotating my own essays back to me. I had written about ease and found someone for whom ease is a native language, not a spiritual achievement. I had written about safety in an uncertain world and found someone who has thought longer and harder about how to build it than almost anyone I know. I had written about reverence flowing both ways and found someone who meets the people I love with genuine delight, not tolerance. My business partner, the one whose presence in my life was once held at an arm's length, is now spoken of with enthusiasm that makes me laugh out loud. He can't wait to meet him. That sentence alone told me something I hadn't known how to ask for. Love, I am learning, does not just cohere you, it coheres your whole world. It integrates your history, your people, your existing devotions, rather than competing with them. What this series is. My first series asked, am I ready to receive love? This one asks something different. What does it actually feel like when you're in it? We have so many maps for getting to love, so few for living inside it. We've been told repeatedly and from every direction that relationships are work, that struggle is proof of depth, that if it comes easily, something must be missing. I want to offer a counter testimony, not because I think love is effortless, but because I think we have confused effort with erosion and work with labor that costs you yourself. This series is a field guide to partnership that doesn't do that, to love that is given and received without transaction, to safety that is built rather than performed, to the specific quiet revolution of being witnessed without having to edit yourself first. It is written in real time from inside the experience with all the imperfection that implies. If you followed the first series, consider this its answer. If you're finding this one first, welcome. You don't need the map to appreciate the territory. A question to walk with. Before the next essay, I want to leave you with the question I would add to the first series if I were writing it today. Does this person make room for the life you already have? Not just your wounds, your patterns, your potential, but your people, your partnerships, the full, already sacred ecosystem of your love. That question, I have come to believe, is one of the most important ones we never think to ask. In part 2, we'll explore what it actually feels like to be witnessed without performing and why that experience is rarer and more revolutionary than it sounds. A goddess to open the series. As we step into this new inquiry together, I call on Ariadne, who appeared at the beginning of the first series and who appears again here transformed. She was the one who gave the thread, who understands that love does not remove the labyrinth. It teaches us how to walk it without losing ourselves. What I know now that I didn't know then, she didn't just hand the thread and step back. She waited at the threshold. She was still there when he emerged. May we find love that waits, love that holds the thread without pulling. May we recognize devotion that feels like home and stay long enough to unpack. If this series has landed somewhere real, if you're in your own season of transition, moving from dissolution toward what comes next, or standing at the threshold of a love you are learning to receive, I would be honored to walk alongside you. As a transition doula, this is the work I was made for. You can reach me at www.goddessintraining.online. Please consider subscribing, liking, sharing. New essays and podcast episodes arrive as they emerge, honest in real time from inside the experience. Thank you for being here.